Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a psychic reading on the one and only Zayn Malik. This was by request by one of my viewers on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to give you insight onto what I see currently happening with Zayn for the remainder of 2018 going into 2019. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So when I tune into Zayn's energy, the first thing that I get is a very conflicted man. I get there's a lot of different um, mood swings that he's going through. Energetically wise, he's not at his best. It almost feels like, we see Zayn as the performer, but in his own personal world, he's not happy. And I get that there's a lot of inner turmoil issues that he hasn't really dealt with, so to speak, with his own life and the direction, being thrown into this fame that he has. I feel like he has a lot of reservations. There's just a lot of anger and resentment to people who may have hurt him in the music industry. Also, with his former band, he was part of One Direction. For a couple of years, and then he branched off into a solo career. I get that there was a lot of issues in the band itself with creativity. He was a writer for the band, I believe, and did want to contribute a lot more of his ideas, but he would always get pushback. And I feel like he didn't feel like he was valued as much. And contrary to what he may have said to the media and what would have been published, I just get that he wasn't happy in the band. He wanted to break solo and kind of go into this career. And now that he is now a solo artist and he is, singing, he's having success being solo and solo artist, but I don't feel like his life is in a good place right now. More than anything, his love life is very much connected to his career. So when I tune into his soul energy, I see that anything that would be happening in his love life is going to affect his career, is going to affect his moods. So it's like mind, body, and spirit are all connected for anyone in life in general. But if there is a disruption in one of these areas, it's going to affect perhaps other areas, unless it doesn't. Not everybody is different. But with Zayn, I get that if he's not happy in his love life, his career is going to suffer, and we're going to see this in a lack of performance, canceled shows. We're going to see this in how he, how much energy he puts into a performance when he's live, on stage, and he's, going into his performance. So I get around him right now. There's a lot of there could be like addictions, or bad habits that he's holding on to, and I feel like this is where his problems are coming in with his relationships. Now, Zayn hasn't been one to be with one single woman. He has kind of been like a player and has been with several different women over the course of his career. But the one that he is with, has been with a little bit longer is Gigi Hadid, which is a supermodel, and I'll go into that in a minute. But right now, what I see for the remainder of 2018 and 2019 is that he's trying to do like some damage control from the media and the press. They are very much were aware of his breakup, and he's kind of like trying to kind of keep it more private, and he wants to keep it private. But you have to understand, being that he is a celebrity, just like any other celebrity, no matter what he does, he is going to still find that the media is always going to have a frenzy, a field day with any kind of scandal that is around him. So I see him diving himself into the work, into his work. This could be going back to the studio, doing some recordings, um, thinking of other creative projects. Being approached by campaigns and stuff like that. I also feel like in his own family, there is a lot of disruptive energy. And so part of this, where he would want to have like a lot of healing, to start to begin to heal a lot of what is going on, he needs a good support system. And I just don't see that he has that when it comes to his family. I feel like he's very separated away from them, and that's the way that his management and his, the people that are managing his career kind of would like this to be. So I feel like everybody is in conflict in his management team. I don't feel like right now he is listening very much to his management team. He feels like maybe they are meddling a little bit too much into his life. So I see a lot of conflict with them, and I just feel like he's, they are pitching him ideas, trying to schedule him for interviews and for things like that, and he's just like, no, I'm not having it, I don't want to do this. But ultimately, they have to remind him that he is under contract, and that if he doesn't do it, then he is going to face repercussions, and it would be damaging for his career. So he's like, his back is up against the wall. That's what I kind of get right now. Now, Gigi Hadid, and I'll be going into the next slide right now. Let me go ahead and get to the next slide. This is Gigi Hadid. She's a beautiful supermodel, and this is who he has spent most of his time dating. I feel like her energy is the one that keeps him grounded, and has prevented him from, having darker thoughts about his life. Because I get with Zayn, there's a lot of dark thoughts that are surrounding him, depression, and it's just not a good combo. But I get with Gigi, she is a very grounding, almost like an earth angel. And I feel like she was brought into his life not as a soulmate, but not even as a twin flame, but more as like somebody that is a healer. Even though she did choose the modeling career, very much so, she has healing abilities. And I feel like when you look into her eyes, you can actually tell that she has these abilities, and she also has strong intuitive abilities. So she's kind of like try to help him and try to convince him. But the one thing that drove them apart, and that will continue to drive them apart, would have been that Zayn is not very loyal when it comes to relationships. He is, if he sees a beautiful woman, and he's going through something mentally, this is how he reacts. He'll go towards that to try to find love in that moment, in that instant. And I feel like with Gigi, she wants more of a commitment from him, and she knew that she wasn't getting that. And also, like I said, I feel like he does have um, certain behaviors or dependencies on certain things, in his life that she does not like or doesn't condone. And, it's driving a wedge in between them. And I feel like this is why they separated. And there was rumors that they're back together, but that's up in the air to see. I don't feel like when I tune into Gigi, she has greater things in store for herself, and I actually see her with a different partner. But I do get with Gigi, she is very much, a carefree soul and very creative, but she's also sensitive. But she will not put up with any nonsense that Zayn would be holding on to. So I feel like they've had very powerful arguments and discussions, about the relationship, and what are her expectations from it. And it's just like going back and forth. And he's, noted, he realizes that Gigi, is someone that he really doesn't feel like he can live without right now. But in many ways, she doesn't want to continue to go through this cycle, and she understands and kind of sees the bigger picture, that this will never be able to work out, because again, he has a public image, and there's just so much that's going on in the industry, right now, that it's going to keep them apart. But with Zayn, word of caution, he needs to be very careful with what he's doing, because I feel like, he cannot see the damage that he is causing Gigi, and the damage that he's causing himself, in his career in the long run. I see a lot of scandals coming into 2019 around Zayn. I also feel like there would be another woman that maybe he has interest in, or this could be like a female part of a management, of his management team, a female in his management team, who is very much trying to get him to see the bigger picture, and also trying to help him, convince him that, he's doing almost like career suicide in many ways, on how he's being very careless, and he's not really paying attention. I also feel like there's a potential within the next 2 to 3 years with Zayn, where he would actually get a female pregnant, and it wouldn't be it'd be like a relationship, but then they separate. And I don't feel like this female is Gigi. So he needs to be very careful, because I don't feel like he's ready or prepared to be a father at this time. He has his career that he would be more focused on. In many ways, being a father would probably, bring him more down to a level, and bring balance into his life. But I just don't feel like he would be supportive or be ready to be a father, just not this soon. So there's a lot of other things that, like I said, that Zayn is holding on to, and I feel like we're going to see those things exposed in the next, I want to say next 6 to 8 months. We're going to see more in the tabloids, more in the press and social media. Even though you can't believe everything that you see, there is some truth to some things, when they do come out. Um, but I do see him, trying to move away from all of this. So there is a sense of like him coming out of this, and actually, for a small split second, he is, he comes out of all of this negativity and his, the downward spiral that I mentioned earlier, and I feel like he gets control and gets perspective, but he's kind of feels alone. Like I said, I don't feel like Gigi's going to stay there forever. With him, they may be good friends still and kind of be amicable, but I just feel like he's going to be a little bit more lonely when it comes to his love life. And it's going to take a lot of change and a lot of effort from his part in order to get his love life back together again and get it in a good place. Um, so I see like there's going to be certain people in his team that are going to be signing him up for different projects, different type of things that that he's going to be doing. I also feel like there is an element of one of his family members. Either they are going to be moving away from where they currently live, but I see like a move for them. So I don't know if Zayn resides uh, in England a lot, or in Europe, or he travels a lot to the U.S. and stays here a lot. But I get like there's just a lot of traveling back and forth with his family, trying to be with his family. I just get there's a lot of drawn to Europe and then a lot to the U.S. So there's just a lot, and it's kind of like thinking where should he focus all his energy and time. But yeah, he does have a lot of struggles still in the future to overcome. And I feel like, that he is going to get control ultimately. He gets control of it. But for right now, for the most part, for this time being, it's a very chaotic time frame for him. And he is a good man. He is Muslim. So I feel like a lot of this, where he would need to be more careful, is around Europe, because there are a lot of people, that in the Muslim community, they're not against him, because obviously he's Muslim, but there are some people who are dissatisfied that he doesn't really embrace the culture that he is, to the fullest extent. That is a part of him. He tries not to embrace his background and be more neutral, more on a spiritual basis, but again, he's always going to have haters. He's always going to have the people that love him and support him. But if he can get his love life in order, I feel like everything else is going to fall into play with him. But it will take also an effort for him to get away from the things that are temptations, the things that are unhealthy for him as a human being, and specifically being loyal to his partner. He cannot keep continuing to go from one person to the other person, because there's going to be problems. It's not gonna work out at all, regardless of whoever he professes his love to. And as far as Gigi is concerned, I get that she will definitely be going on, focusing on her career, acting. She has a lot more things that she's going to accomplish, but I actually see her with a much older man than Zayn, when I come into her energy. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you'd like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website at www.raymondguzman.net/shop. Blessings and love and light. Thank you.